Greetings, friends. It's me, Wayman, and I'm here in my backyard, and it's fall, probably one of my favorite times of year, and I am at the Shelley Reserve, which is a couple miles from where I live here in Pennsylvania. And this is a video response going out to the Backyard Professor and his video, Egyptology and the Book of Abraham Updates. And on video 2 in that series, we got into a discussion about Jewish incantation bowls in relation to Egyptian incantations found at grave sites and used in temple practices. And I thought maybe there would be some connection between Egyptian and Jewish incantations. And lo and behold, in the last BAR magazine, which is the 200th issue of BAR, Biblical Archaeology Review, a writer wrote in about that topic, and I wanted to send this into the Backyard Professor and see what he thought about it, and here's a comparison. So I went back and I dug out a previous issue of the topic that was fully, we have a picture of, which I'll show in another magazine, out of another issue that this column here addresses. And it was great. This is on Jewish sorry, I have a problem pronouncing these words. Jewish necromancy. In Rare Magic Inscription on Human Skull, this would be the March-April 2009, Dan Levine presents an inscribed human skull recently acquired by collector Shlomo Misaoef, and reviews a few other human skulls bearing an inscription in Jewish Aramaic. The inscriptions on these skulls appear to be some type of magical incantation against demons and other spirits, the kind found on more than 2,000 inscribed incantation bowls from the 3rd to the 7th century CE. The text on these skulls is mostly fragmentary and is hard to read, but the names of the demons and other evil spirits, such as Lilith and her ilk, can be identified. Levine is somewhat baffled, however, by the use of skulls for magical, turning the page, for magical purposes. Why a skull, he asks. Its carved and bumpy surface does not make writing or reading easy. Why use a skull when the custom of inscribing bowls and other objects was so widespread? There seems to be something peculiar about skulls. Levine speculates about the possible necromantic background of these inscribed skulls. Although necromancy was forbidden in Judaism, but sometimes practiced, Levine considers the possibility that perhaps the skull was used for this text because it was thought that the spirits of the dead, to which skulls were obviously connected, have access to the supernatural realm. In another version of the article on the internet, Levine quotes a passage from the Babylonian Talmud in which skulls are clearly mentioned in the context of necromancy. There are two kinds of necromancy. The one where the dead is raised by naming him, the other where he is invoked by the means of a skull. Sanhedrin 65b. Other Jewish sources, basically contemporaneous with Levine's inscribed bowls and skulls, contain small allusions to and reflections of probably related customs. Recently I've been looking into the issue of the biblical teraphim, T-E-R-A-P-H-I-M, which is a Hebrew word, household gods or idols, as reflecting beliefs related to the world of the dead and their possible role in rites of necromancy. One 8th century CE text makes an interesting and pregnant connection between the biblical teraphim and the head of a dead person, a certain source of light burning in front of it, and the notion of consulting the dead. This text is as follows. What were the teraphim? They slay a man, a firstborn, they pinch off his head and salt it with salt, and they write upon a golden plate, and the name of an unclean spirit and placed it under his tongue, and they put it in the wall, and they kindled lamps before it and bowed down to it, and it speaks to them. Admittedly, an inscribed human skull of this kind discussed by Levine is not mentioned, but rather the salted head of the person. However, some writing activity does seem to be involved here, and the written specimen is to be placed inside the severed head under the tongue. Also, it is specifically stated that the name of some unclean spirit, a demon, possibly Lilith, is to be written on the designated plate and placed in the mouth of the head. Finally, it is clear that we have some rite of necromancy for the severed head, and for the severed head is supposed to speak. In a passage in Maimonides' Mishnah Torah, necromancy is discussed, one of which methods involve the use of a skull. Who willingly and knowingly practice necromancy or wizardry is liable to karet, from the Hebrew word karet, or to cut off. This is a biblical punishment for cutting off a person from among one's people, meaning particularly the expiration of one's lineage. What are the acts of necromancy? A necromancer stands and burns specific incenses, and, turning the page, and speaks slowly in a manner known to necromancers, or takes the skull of a dead person, burning incense to it, and divining with it. These sources, contemporaneous with the inscribed bowls or skulls, raise the question as to whether the use of human skulls heads involves some ritual, necromancy, and consulting the dead. Levine's speculation does not seem totally far-fetched. Now here in the article, this is the March-April BAR. They have the skull in the bowl, as you can see here. Here's the skull, and down in here is the bowl, and you can see the Hebrew words written on that. And here is a picture of a Jewish incantation bowl with a demon picture on the inside, with magical sayings around the edge, which is pretty interesting. And also here is the Ouroboros sign of the serpent eating its tail, which is an archetype in itself, and it's found in Native American cultures here in America and in other cultures, also in Australia. So what's really interesting is how all this relates to the Egyptian ideas of it, and what the backyard professor was talking about in the video that I'm replying to. So it's pretty interesting indeed. Take care, friends. Thanks for watching, and remember, if everyone's thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking.